Rosa could be seen in the parlor. The relatives apparently all wanted to be alone after dispersing for a short break. Since everyone avoided the parlor, the one place where people would normally gather, Rosa was able to have this relaxing and comforting room all to herself. That didn't mean she looked relaxed. Her expression was heavy with gloom and weariness. The cup of black tea that she had brought from the dining hall had gone cold. A pleasant silence. Now that no one was inside, Rosa's heart finally awoke. She was always treated like a kid in the conferences with her 3 siblings. She had no influence at all. But possibly because of that, she was apparently considered to be a neutral party. The siblings would often ask for her agreement, sometimes even treating her like a referee or a judge. I have to make use of that, and turn the discussion in the direction I want. I have to find almost 100 million yen by March. That was supposed to be my great commitment, a burden I bore to help support that man's business. Now I'm not sure anymore. If I can pay off my debt, will he call me again? Don't make me laugh. Even if you do contact me after all this time, I'll be the one to refuse. But still, you're Maria's father. Please come and see her, if only just once. Love is quite a difficult thing to stick to, isn't it? Huh? Who? Though no one should have been in the parlor, someone suddenly spoke to Rosa and she jumped. Just when did he get here? There, Kanon could be seen standing there. Even considering that she had been deep in thought, to think that she hadn't noticed him at all. You startled me. Sorry, I guess I was thinking so hard that I didn't notice you. Do you need something? No. The reason you are currently in pain is because of love, Rosa-sama. Am I wrong? That's sudden. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Maria-sama's father wanted you to be the co-signer on a loan, and you accepted, Rosa-sama. What a troublesome kid. You were listening to Klaus Nissan from the hallway, weren't you? True, earlier this day in this very room, Klaus had seen through to the fact that Rosa was bearing a massive debt because she'd become a co-signer on a loan. However, he hadn't said that her partner had been Maria's father. Why did Kanon know so much? You are a very wise person, Rosa-sama. You wouldn't have become a co-signer without thinking carefully about the consequences. I hadn't yet moved to his family register, but I thought of the man I would soon marry as my partner. If he couldn't borrow the money without my name, I figured that helping him out was my responsibility as his future wife. And did that future ever come? No, it hadn't. So afterwards, Rosa was always alone, and Maria never had a father. However, time moved on. Nothing changed, except that Maria, who should have been a symbol of their union, just kept growing like a living hourglass, measuring the length of the hell Rosa had crawled through. Because of that, Maria's growth hurt. It's ironic. I tried to forget that man several times, but you know, forgetting him doesn't get rid of that debt. It was only natural. That's why she had to forget her love and do all she could to pay that money back. But you know, I also think of it this way. If I can manage to pay everything off, it'll mean that I've passed the trial of love that he gave me. I'll have to pay off my debt anyway, so how can I abandon my reward, the love I gain as a result, before it's over? Is it really so wrong to put off thinking about that until after I've paid my debts? It may have been a trick of words that only those who have suffered through love could understand. Even Rosa was vaguely aware of the possibility that she'd been deceived. However, if she was able to succeed in paying back the loan, he might acknowledge her usefulness as a wife. When that happened, she might be able to regain that love. Yeah, I don't think so. And if she abandoned that love, this debt, this trial that he had given her, would become completely meaningless. Yes, for her, the debt itself appeared to be a trial of love. Actually, the very fact that she tried to view it that way might have been the blindness of love. Proved that she was still bound by her regrets and obsessed with the past. That pain still continued within her. At the very least, it would remain until she paid back that massive loan, and even then it would take quite some time before she'd be able to lay her feelings for him to rest. Could this be that hell Kiryu-sama spoke of? I see. I'm not sure what you're talking about, but there's no doubt that my world has been hell through and through. And how can that be put to an end? Who knows? If anyone did, no one would ever be crushed by the disease of love. That disease is a serious one. It sometimes eats into a person for their entire life, spreading to and hurting the people closest to them. That disease was torturing her now as much as it ever had. Well, since you bring up Kiryu-san, her story is like a wish or a dream to me. Though she had her man stolen from her, she persevered for 18 years. She never fell to despair and instead continued to support Rudolph, keeping her head down and waiting for a miracle. Maria is still 9 years old. I've only waited as long as the first half of Kiria's 18 years. If I gave up after just this, she would laugh at me. Do you think a miracle will occur within 9 years? If I doubt that, it's all over. In a sense, I'm a ghost. I'm already dead. I'm just living on without noticing. A ghost waiting for eternity for a person who will never come. That's right. That day when I naively said that I wanted to support his dream, I was probably already dead. I guess that really was a regretful day in the end. I have dreams. I want to go overseas. I fly out of this tiny country, make it big, and come back to you. That takes me back. At that time, I thought of lovers as a pair of people willing to acknowledge each other's radical dreams. That's why he would always happily cheer me up by talking about how I had become a successful designer, traveling to Paris to release a new line and getting jostled by the press. When I think about it, I really had my head in the clouds during that strange time. We both lifted the other up as though we were drifting about in the air. So when he said that he wanted to get out of Japan, I applauded him and promised to support him. Acknowledging each other's great dreams with nothing but words is a classic sort of pillow talk between lovers. However, when it comes to actually carrying them out, you need to be more serious and calculating. For a long time, I felt proud of letting him go on that day. No, I still do. But you still regret it. That's right. If I had sobbed and told him to stop on that day, I might have not have fallen into hell. Seeing him off with a smile was my victory? Of course not. It's as though I lost by default by refusing to fight when the time came. I only glorified that loss, saw him off with a smile as he went to take on the world overseas, and became intoxicated with the illusion that I was some brave woman waiting patiently for her man's return with her daughter. Even though I didn't get a single call from him, and mail sent to the address he had given me came back forwarding address unknown. This is hell. In this hell I'll regret not fighting when I should have until the day I die. I've even dragged my daughter into it. I wish someone would just kill me. I want to be told that I've already been killed, that I'm a ghost. Well, I think you're gonna get your wish granted right now. In love, if you do not fight, you have to crawl through hell. Yes, love is a fight. Will you win and gain? I'll lose and die. But please have no fear of death. After all, it's a peaceful sleep. What's truly terrifying is the hell where you find the unsleeping ghosts of those who couldn't win yet couldn't die. That hell has no end. The battle of love is cruelest for those who never even fought but weren't able to die either. So in love, you've got to make it or break it. Dying in battle like that is liberating. They say the most torturous toxin for humans is made from love grown stale. The suffering it brings exceeds the tortures of the most twisted hells. She used this knowledge to try and embolden her double and little sister, encouraging her to take on any trial no matter how fierce. I understand. After all, when my desire to have Balasan accept me one day wells up in my chest, I can feel the seed that resides there. It is up to me to kill that seed or make it bud. However, if I let it rot here in my chest, that poison will surely torment me forever. And that is the most fearsome torture in the world, even for us 1,000-year-old witches. See what happens to those who make light of love? This hell of roses is what happens to those who do not possess the courage to make the seed of love bud and instead allow it to rot. One cannot end that pain by their own hands. Huh? Just now was that a red light? Pardon me. Huh? What? Just now I thought I saw something strange. I wonder if I'm tired. It's probably just my imagination. Rosa picked up her cup of cold tea. When she did, she saw a small red rose petal float to the surface. Rose? Didn't I used to have a lower body? I have heard that in your youth, you loved to lie on that sofa. It wasn't a rose petal, it was a drop of blood that had fallen from Rosa's eyes. In an instant, Kanon had beautifully and precisely cut just a single thread of Rosa's life. There was no wound on Rosa's body. However, several drops of blood dripped down from her eyes. Her pain, her uncertainties, and her worries were all gone now. Slowly, she fell down onto her side on the sofa. This had been one of the happiest things she had done during the happiest day of her life. Sleep well, Rosa-sama. Your hell has ended. Kano took a blanket out of a cupboard and gently covered Rosa with it. To anyone, it would have looked just as though Rosa was sleeping peacefully. Those demons had not exaggerated when calling this trial a battle of love. It was at least accurate in this cruel but unassailable effect, that those who have their beloved shattered meet with death. Now my part is complete. Did you see that, demons? Yeah, Kano doesn't fuck around, he just does it. Quick and easy. Oh. What the hell? Now what? Damn.
You dare to kill my mama! You dare to kill my mama!
She usually didn't care so much about that. One of the two great witches of Maria Saucier, Maria, though she was just an apprentice, the power sleeping within her had impressed even Beatrice at the height of her strength. In Maria's eyes, though Rosa may have been the Black Witch, she was also the vessel of her mother, or the mother she couldn't help but love. The anger at having that stolen from her was near madness. Maria's attack was too emotional. Because of this, she didn't notice that Kano had vanished with several heartbeats, and she released her barrage at what had become empty space. In the meantime, Kano jumped from wall to wall around to Maria's back. I don't want to kill past my quota, but I'll clean up the messes I've made. Oh, he's there too.
What are you? Diplomatic immunity. I won't let you talk to Maria or me.
Damn. The red curved blade extending from Kano's hand vanished in an instant. He tried hard to make it reappear, but when he attempted to use it on Maria and Sakutaro again, it vanished once more. Because of Sakutaro's power, he was unable to make either of them the target of his attacks.
There you are. How long have you been there?
I won't let anyone bully Maria.
Damn it. Maria finally noticed where Kanon was, and she slowly turned around. Kanon made his sword materialize yet again. But no matter how often he tried, it kept fading out like a flashlight with a bad battery.
I won't let you get away now. I won't forgive you for the sin of stealing my mama away. I'll kill you. Just like mama killed all of them, I'll kill you without mercy.
As Maria howled, the entire parlor was surrounded by a cube of red magic barriers. It was a closed room symbolizing a barrier that Kanon could never escape.
Damn it, not here.
Kanon cursed his bad luck. Even though he had fulfilled his goal in the demon's trial, if he was killed here, he'd be dragged off the game board.
Maria, don't overdo it.
Yeah, I won't overdo it. I'll be a little more gentle than mama was.
A little more.
Who is it?
Pardon me, Maria-sama. In accordance with the contract with Deba-sama and Furu-Furu-sama, I come for your life. Shannon, don't get in my way!
It's pointless, Shannon. I won't let anyone target Maria.
Yes, I don't intend to target her in any way. I will simply protect myself.
A cylindrical red magical barrier surrounded Shannon as she stood in the center of the parlor. She made its brightness and thickness grow, and its radius suddenly expanded, filling up the room. Oh, I see. It wasn't targeting Maria. This power was being wielded to protect Shannon's body, so Sakutaro's power didn't make it disappear.
Nia-san, would you let your feelings for Milady collapse in a situation like this? Get a hold of yourself.
By now, the shield with Shannon in the center had covered up the entire room. Its power crushed Maria and Sakutaro into the corner. Ironically, they were perfectly wedged between Shannon's barrier, the closed room barrier Maria had set up to prevent Kano from escaping.
No good. Can't escape.
See, this is a closed room. This might be just perfect for that wannabe detective who's trying to deny Beatrice's magic.
Checkmate, Maria-sama. Is that acceptable?
Yeah, it's fine. Crush me.
Then here it comes. I just picture lots of blood and flesh and brain and organs just slowly, like, running down the wall now. The entire room was filled with the red light of the shield, and the output and pressure were raised to their limits. Then, crushed between the shield and their own closed room barrier, Maria and Sakutaro lost their forms, scattered into a golden splash, and disappeared. Okay, 2 down. I was wondering, if we have 5 people who have to kill in this trial, then how would we get to 6 bodies? But now we have a 6th body. Thank you. I couldn't afford to disappear here. Right? We have 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh no, but Shannon just murdered. That would work if Kanon had murdered both and Shannon still had somebody to murder. So we will only have 5 bodies? Yeah, sorry, I was a bit too slow. If you lost in a place like this, you wouldn't be able to let it go. Yeah, I wouldn't give up if I lost in a place like this.
Zippa-sama, Furu-Furu-sama. We have both finished our trials. Is that satisfactory? Yeah, truly splendid. No complaints for either of you. Then shall we finish with Beatrice's turn? Oh, where did she go? To the victims she's chosen, of course.
Who would that be?
Then let's go there as well.
Okay, I'm curious. Who's gonna die next? It's... Can it be Erika, please?
No! Why Natsui?
She's already had it rough last episode. Natsui could be seen in her personal room. Klaus had told her to go to bed, but she couldn't afford to lie around sleeping on an important day like this. However, she realized that she was the type to get excited easily and that this sometimes held her husband back. So, though she didn't like it one bit, there was no way around it. It was probably close to the time for the break to end, and the family conference would begin once again in the dining hall. Her husband would have to protect the Yoshidomiya family honor from those greedy siblings, all by himself. If she grew emotional by his side, she would just tie him down. Though she knew that quietly waiting here was the best way she could support him, that didn't make the waiting any easier. Natsui pulled a small treasure box out of a drawer. This was a secret box. Inside was everything from valuable items to mere rubbish. However, they were all precious, memorable treasures in Natsui's eyes. She pulled a small pouch out of the box. She stuck her hand inside it. It was a kind of charm that her own family had given her when she had married, a spirit mirror to ward off evil. Her own face was reflected in it. Youth doesn't last forever. Recently she had seen a bit of her parents and grandparents on her own face, so by staring at her reflection in the mirror like this, she felt as though her soul had returned to the family she had been born into.
Dad, Mom, I've always been so ignorant and unable to support my husband.
Of course her face in the mirror did not answer. However, Natsui continued.
I wait here alone because I love my husband. However, I think love means being close to one another. Though I understand logically that staying here is the best way I can help him, I still feel wretched for doing it. It's tough, isn't it? Waiting for the sake of love.
With a plop, a tear fell onto the mirror. Old dear memories of her life at her parents' house rose up inside her. Now was the time for her to follow her parents' example. When her father came home late, her mother would always sit up straight waiting for him, prepared for him to arrive at any moment. She would always wait for him, kneeling in the entrance hall. And no matter how late he came home, she would always wake up all the children and line them up to greet him. At the time, I only thought of her as being exceptionally strict, but at this age I finally understand how strong she was, persevering in her love for her beloved husband, even after being left in charge of the house while he was out.
Because of your love for your husband, you couldn't bear to be made to care for an unfamiliar child.
The sudden voice made Natsui jump up and look about the room. When she did, there was a Western lady wrapped in an extravagant dress.
Who are you?
Natsui was confused. There was no one like this in this mansion. However, though this was her first time seeing this person, it felt as though she had seen her somewhere else. Her mind had gone blank with anger at the ruffian who had snuck into her private room, and confusion over the appearance of someone she didn't know. So it took quite some time before she realized that this was the witch of the portrait.
Though you murdered a baby you didn't know on that day 19 years ago, I will not hold that sin against you. What are you talking about?
Beato had chosen Natsuhi as her sacrifice. She was Battler's enemy. Why was she Battler's enemy? Beato didn't know much about the details of Battler's birth. However, she knew about the fragment from the previous game, oh I see, and knew there was a chance that Battler was the baby that Natsuhi had pushed off a cliff 19 years ago. Battler had used its blue wedge to protect Natsuhi from certain false charges, but if you took it as a confession by Battler himself, which I still doubt, then from Beato's position, Natsuhi was an enemy who probably forced Battler to live a painful life.
You killed that baby who liked your husband's blood for the sake of your love for your husband. So also for the sake of love, I will not hold it against you. I don't have a clue what you're talking about. Get out, this is my room. Therefore, please do not hold it against me when I kill you for the sake of my love.
Beato slowly stuck out her arms and made as if to grab something in empty space. That grab bound itself around Natsuhi's neck. Natsuhi's heels lifted up and a faint purple shape appeared around her neck. Natsuhi frantically scratched at her neck, trying to stop whatever was strangling her, but there was nothing there. So to an outsider, it just looked as though Natsuhi was standing on her toes in anguish, scratching at her own neck.
Both pairs of lovers have shown their determination. I do not think that my love for Battler-san is inferior to theirs. Just as I will not blame you for your sin of 19 years ago, I will not blame myself for this sin.
As Natsuhi twisted in agony, something she had been grasping fell from her grip. Since it had fallen by her feet, Beato dropped her gaze to see what it was. It was Natsuhi's spirit mirror. When she peered into it, there was a sound like a burst of electricity. That sound released Natsuhi from the invisible hands and made Beato topple backwards like a doll. Coughing, Natsuhi tried to comprehend what was going on around her. Beato rolled over and, dizzy as though she had just bumped her head, she slowly tried to stand up. Her eyes were bewildered, as though even she didn't really understand what had happened. Bewildered? I keep forgetting that one.
What? What is this? That is surprising. You could touch spiderwebs without trouble, but you can't handle the spirit mirror.
I was about to say the same thing.
Even I don't have a clue what's happening. What in the world?
She had thought that only Beato the Elder possessed non-human weak points, such as getting her burned by spiderwebs and wards and having her power sealed by spirit mirrors. However, for some reason, this spirit mirror alone could apparently affect Beato as well. Even Beato couldn't understand what about the spirit mirror had had such an overpowering effect on her. But Natsuhi was different. She instantly realized that the reason for the hesitation of this unearthly being, this witch of the portrait, must be the power of the mirror. So she rapidly crawled across the floor and picked it up. Then she stuck it out so that Beato could see it. Beato still didn't know what was happening, so still sitting down, she looked straight at it. And this time, both of them understood the situation completely. Beato realized that the mirror was working some hateful power against her. And Natsuhi realized that the spirit mirror had the power to repel witches.
Why is the mirror? It's because you're an evil witch. This miraculous spirit mirror repels all creatures of evil.
Don't point it at me. With the spirit mirror still held out, Natsuhi cautiously closed the gap between them. She was cautious so as to prevent the other from suddenly lashing out and stealing the mirror, but she steadily moved to corner this evil.
I do not know who you are. All I know is that you try to kill me, and I know that you are a creature of evil, fearful of the spirit mirror. Be gone, evil one.
Beato didn't understand what was happening herself. She didn't know why she had to fear the spirit mirror. However, when she tried to look at the bright light let off by the spirit mirror, it pierced her eyes. Though she didn't understand why she must be afraid, she did understand that she must be afraid. By now, Beato realized that the spirit mirror was both terrifying and harmful. As it came closer to her, she felt an increasingly strong and painful burning sensation over her whole body, as though someone was approaching her with a hot iron. She couldn't even open her eyes because of the mirror's bright, painful glint.
Go, return to the world from whence you came, evil one. I, Ushiromiya Natsuhi, do not fear evil in the least.
It's no use. Why? Why is this musty mirror so...
If I lose here, I'll be the only one to fail this trial. Just like George-sama and Shannon-san and Jessica-san and Kanon-san, I also want Battler-san to acknowledge me and treasure me. And Even though I finally managed to be honest with myself in a place like this, I alone will be... Are you giving up? Only you. Believe. A miracle of love will surely occur. I love Battler's son. I want him to notice me, and I want him to acknowledge and accept my feelings. If my reason for calling him father and dedicating myself to him was out of duty towards a parent of mine, I would have been satisfied with no reward. That was a deception I used to fool myself. I love Battler's son, and I want him to acknowledge it. I accept it. I won't turn away any longer. I was born because I love Battler's son, and I want him to love me back. And so, I cannot lose. Here. Be gone, evil one. There is no place for you here.
Her determination had come too late. If she had had it from the start, she would probably have managed to finish Natsuhi off right then without any fear. Because she had wavered, it had taken time to kill Natsuhi, and things had ended up like this. But now, I am resolved. I want to love Battler's son. I want him to love me. And so, I cannot lose here. After all, I was born for Battler's son's sake.
Yes, that is what we wanted to hear.
Just after a sound like a beetle banging off all the walls filled the room, the spirit mirror was knocked out of Natsuhi's outstretched hand. It fell to the floor, and the stake flying around the room pierced through it with a crash.
Lucifer of Pride, right here. You dare mock me by choosing a single old mirror to be my first target in so long? Huh? Lucifer, son? Beatrice-sama, you must complete your trial. She's getting away. Someone, help me! Someone!
Now that the spirit mirror, her last ray of hope, had been smashed, and the number of strange demons had increased, Natsuhi could do nothing but run for it. However, if she made a scene and people gathered, the anti-magic toxin would burn Beato. Now was her last chance.
Thank you, Lucifer, son. Prepare yourself for Shidomi and Natsuhi.
Once again, Beato choked the thin air. This time she wouldn't let her escape. She had to end Natsuhi's pain right away before it got too drawn out, but her power wasn't enough. Though Natsuhi scratched at her neck, she also struggled to escape from the room. Her shaking hand stretched out to the lock on the door. A closed room is one of the concepts that allows a witch to be a witch. Just unlocking the door strengthened the anti-magic toxin a little. Since Beato was at her limit even within a closed room, if Natsuhi undid that lock, Beato's power would weaken immediately and Natsuhi would surely escape into the hallway. Their strength were matched. However, Natsuhi's began to surpass Beato's slightly. The power of the living to live is fundamentally stronger than the power of magic. Of course, Beato was mustering all her might. However, Natsuhi was just a bit stronger.
That's enough. Lucifer, do it. As you wish.
Lucifer transformed into a stake. And like the time she had smashed Natsuhi's spirit mirror, flew violently around the room. Then she struck Natsuhi's forehead. Natsuhi crumpled slowly. When Beato saw this, she also fell to her knees, breathing hard.
Hey, Zipar, does this count? Beatrice didn't complete the trial by her own strength alone, right? That's right, Furu. True, this trial must be accomplished without borrowing the help of any other. But maybe this is an exception. A parent love, ours one. This doesn't count as help from outside. Battler, son.
Did you really have to scare me like that as soon as the first twilight?
My apologies. Sorry, I didn't listen to your instructions.
Instructions?
Well, I didn't stay in my room.
Beato hung her head apologetically. When he saw this, Battler scratched his head uncomfortably. In that case, I should apologize too. I should have chosen my words more carefully.
No, you did nothing wrong, Father.
Oh, sorry.
I mean, Battler, son.
It's okay, call me whatever you like.
Huh?
Battler had always looked at the new Beatrice sternly. However, that was gone from his expression now. True, the old you may have called me just Battler. At first I might have tried to force you to speak to me that way. But that would be pointless. You are Beato, but you're still you. You can call me whatever you want.
Battler, son.
Sure, that works great. Can't say being called father is really my thing.
Yes.
Earlier she had hesitated just to say Battler's name at all. If Battler had told her to say his name without honorifics, I almost read that as horrifics. I wonder what that is. It's like honorifics, but you make somebody seem totally terrifying and scary. The horrifics. If Valor had told her to say his name without honorifics, she couldn't have done so right now. And even if she had, that might have hurt Battler even more. However, now she was allowed to call Battler by his name. You just had to look into her eyes to see how happy this made her. But her eyes are closed. I heard from Zipper and Furufuru. It seems a strange game has been started.
Yes, sorry for getting involved all on my own.
No problem. That reckless way you leap in before you understand is really like you. And, well, I've heard about the theme of this game. Apparently you're supposed to play it in pairs.
Yes, that is correct, Lord Battler. If you can succeed in winning through our trial, we will bless the pair of you and bestow a miracle of magic upon you.
Yes, your cousins. It seems these guys have been giving their power to Beato's golden butterfly brooch. That means its effectiveness is guaranteed. We've been stuck with each other for a long time now. Nothing wrong with playing this sort of game every now and then.
Battler-san. Oh, did you hear that, Furufuru? It looks like Lord Battler is joining in as well.
That's no surprise. After all, we've known since the beginning.
Welcome to our trial, Lord Battler. So who will your sacrifice be?
I've already done my part. Go and check if you want. And then they found Erica's cut-off head floating in the ocean.
Very well, Lord Battler. Come, Furufuru, let's go check.
Yes, let's.
But Zipper, this means that all 6 lovers have succeeded in their trials, right? What shall we do next? The resolve of all 6 is the real deal. Let us test them further in the next trial.
The 2 noisy demons disappeared. They had apparently left to go check on the sacrifice Battler had killed, and also so that Battler and Beato, who could finally look each other in the eye and talk, could have some time alone.
What do you think of the tale so far?
When suddenly asked this question, Angie immediately came to her senses. Then she realized that she had been immersed in Hachijo's tale. She felt a bit defeated and tried to look displeased.
You cleverly tried to distract us with this love trial stuff. But exactly 6 people have died, setting up the first twilight. Impressive.
Oh, you're right. I hadn't realized.
Amakusa clapped his hands as though he'd been outsmarted. Even though he figured it out before me, he played the fool. That's simply because the number of lovers just happened to be 6. The fact that it matched to the number of the first twilight was half coincidence, half design. It's a bit more interesting that way, feels more like fate.
Humans have the bad habit of taking 2 meaningless phenomena and trying to link them together. Trying to make things seem like fate is a trick of books. I guess you aren't a fan of destiny and miracles, lady.
It's like UFOs. Everyone knows about them, but no one has ever seen them.
Or UFOs. There's a cool metaphor.
So, normally I try to skip over all the love and illusions and call them unnecessary, useless scenes for the mystery. But Okunogi-san disagreed with that way of thinking. He thought that by looking at things without love that way, the truth could never be reached.
Oh, you mean President Okunogi's catchphrase? Without love, it cannot be seen?
Yeah, that. If I put aside my anger at the person who killed my family in a story, and even speak with respect for Madame Hachijo, the one who wrote this tale, then there must be a point to this depiction. After all, she's used up all these pages talking about love and trials. In other words, those are the themes and key words of this tale. Oh, and there are many who claim that all words not written in red ink are not worth reading. It is an honor, child of man, that you have read the black letters as well.
Stories are written because the writer is something they want to communicate, and some writers feel that it's unrefined to lay everything out too directly. All of this about how you'll never reach the truth without love has shown up many times in the works before this one. This new work makes that even more striking. It means that that is the one thing the writer wanted to tell the most, the thing that they want us to think about the most. When you think about it, there have been many scenes about love ever since Beato first appeared. Even the first time she appeared before Shannon, she spoke clearly about how love was the single element of the world, and the golden butterfly brooch she had given was also an item for love. She had said that she enjoyed sowing seeds of love and watching complications arise, and when Shannon stopped borrowing her power, the reason for her argument was also love. After her interactions with Battler started up in full, scenes about love were toned down for a while, but the without love it cannot be seen definition of magic has been mentioned repeatedly. Then in the tale right before this one, when Beato became like a doll, several scenes made it seem almost as though Battler and Beato had accepted each other as rivals, or possibly something more. In the end, Battler had regained some memory, and his impression of Beato had undergone a complete change. And then in this game, from the beginning until now, the word love has been repeated over and over again. The tale you wrote keeps talking about love. However, that's not Maria One-chan's viewpoint or Beatrice's viewpoint. It's Hachijo Toya's viewpoint.
Correct. That is what I wanted to tell, and it is my own sort of answer.
Answer? Then all of the crimes filmed years ago were trial of love started by strange demons?
Ridiculous. I didn't come here to read a romance novel you wrote. What I want to know about is the truth you claim to have reached.
Foolish child of man. After reading all of this, do you still not understand?
With an obviously condescending gaze, Hachijo shrugged. It was clear that she was trying to provoke Angie. She was probably hinting that Angie should just go home if she was annoyed.
If you're going to read my noble work and not even attempt to see whether you understand it, then get out.
Normally, Angie would already have thrown a fit and left. However, she couldn't do that. Though she didn't like someone else toying with her family's fates in the story, she was growing increasingly certain of something else as she read through it. Just as Hachijo's followers said, this tale really does have the same presence, the same scent as the tales written by Beatrice. The author was certainly different. However, because it reached to the real truth, it had the same scent. Angie was beginning to acknowledge this. Hachijo Toya was one who had reached Beatrice's truth, an endless witch like Beatrice who could add to the endlessly stretching parallel worlds of the Catbox.
If one has reached Beatrice's truth, they can create a new tale, whoever they are. With this new manuscript, I'm sure someone besides myself will appear and reach the truth. Those people will be qualified to create new tales of their own.
So there will be more and more endless witches.
Yes, and these many endless witches will add to Beatrice's Catbox tale. The more they add to it, the more people will reach the truth. When that happens, the very first endless witch, Beatrice, will finally be rewarded for writing such long letters, packing them in bottles, and throwing them into the sea. You might have yelled at me angrily and risen from your seat, however you did not. Why?
I hate to admit it, but I'm starting to think that your tale has some kind of truth or hint within it. I already have my own ideas, however that's no more than looking with a single eye. Unless I accept a different viewpoint from my own and look at things from more than one angle, I'll never be able to see the truth in 3 dimensions. That's my interpretation of without love it cannot be seen.
Very well, child of man. Perhaps as the final survivor of the Shirumia family, it was fated that you would find the truth and become an endless witch. I exist only as a guidepost to awaken you as the true successor, Angie Beatrice.
Sometimes I don't understand what she's saying, however she knows something. And maybe she actually has reached the truth, as she claims. In other words, I didn't learn the truth even after reading the 2 message bottles Beatrice left behind. And I'm now reading a tale after tale filled with hints. So these hints are challenges, provoking me to think.
Indeed.
Perfect. I'll find this truth you say you've reached. It's a good thing I came here.
That it is. I invited you here because you hadn't found it yet, child of man.
Let the truth I see and the truth you see overlap. Just as you see things with a single eye, so do I. Now that I've found you, I can finally see the truth with both eyes.
So the first twilight has finally happened. Everything so far has made me so sleepy.
You have some sleep in your eye.
Huh? Where?
Mind your own business. Huh. As you wish, let's begin. First off, the first twilight. Still the middle of the night, huh? Erika was dozing off on her bed, so when a knock sounded on the door, it took some time before she noticed. She looked at the clock and saw that not much time had passed since she had lain down.
Yes, who is it?
I hope you have a good reason for knocking at the detective's door at an hour like this. That's right. I have one thing to say before we begin this game. Oh, that detective proclamation thing. Do as you wish.
No, I mean the opposite. I say we raise the stakes. Raise the stakes.
What's this?
No, that sounds interesting. What do you mean? It's simple. Battler got a shot off at us in the last game, so if Erica does the same in this game, we're only even. Wasn't the last game a tie? We failed to win a game that should have been a shoe-in, right? If that isn't a loss, I don't know what is. Right, Erica? Yes, my master. If I had failed so miserably, we would have won that game easily.
Oh, I get it. So this time you'll intentionally fight at a disadvantage by not making a detective proclamation and win despite that. You're scheming to not only wipe out your loss from the previous game, but to totally flip the score upside down, right? You intend to participate in the game Battler's son poured his heart and soul into with a foolish handicap like that? That is not only presumptuous, it's quite rude.
You've got a point there. It sounds more like an excuse just in case they lose.
True, you could also look at it that way. If they win, it's a great victory, but if they lose, Erica's side is a nice little excuse. Isn't that a bit unsporting? Don't worry, this bet is balanced on both sides. If this game is won by a human without the detective proclamation, it'll be impossible for Battler and the others to pick up the pieces of the illusion of the witch. But on the other hand, if Erica loses, that detective trash will be sent into the depths of oblivion along with the worst possible fragment. See? That's balanced, isn't it? An ultimate victory with me, a human, not a Superman detective, destroying the illusion of the witch. She's putting her own destruction on the line to make that bet. I've gotten bored with these sluggish repeating games that you and the former Beato made, so we're raising the stakes and settling it all at once. Well, that is true. If Battler makes it through this game, it'll mean that Battler has won Beato's game, and the game will end. In a sense, it's a showdown you can't escape, right?
I see your position. Are you okay with that, Erica?
Yes, of course. In order to regain my master's trust in me, which was lost by my previous defeat, I will risk even my own destruction.
Is that of your own will?
What's wrong, Erica? Answer him, okay? Obviously, this is my own will. I certainly will not lose. Even without the detective proclamation, I will defeat you no matter what.
Battler, son. Sure, that's fine. If that's what you want, I'll accept that challenge.
Thank you very much.
I'll make sure you regret it. After all, when Battler played for the human side, he never had anything as convenient as the detective's authority. All he was allowed to do was use the blue truth and demand that Beato repeat things he said.
Exactly. In a way, the last game was unfair. We failed to win despite that, which is why it was no different from a loss.
Do what you want. If you feel like making a detective proclamation, do it whenever you like. I understand that you're holding it in reserve at the moment.
As if I'd use such a thing against an opponent like you. Then get started, you two. I'm already starting to get bored. I'll leave it to me, my master. I will destroy the illusion of the witch for you without fail. And I will lick your shoes.
George and Jessica had been the ones knocking on Erica's door. They were asking whether Battler and Maria had come to this room. Of course they hadn't. Okay. A good while ago, they went downstairs saying they wanted to get something to drink. A good while ago, they went downstairs saying they wanted to get something to drink. We thought they might have come to your room.
Of course not. Why would they? Are you sure they didn't go to the mansion? We called the servant room and dining hall of the mansion, but no one picked up. Please stay here, you two. I'm going to go check the mansion.
It's dangerous to go out this late.
How could a stranger sneak into the sealed-off island? Stay in that cousin room of yours.
You wanted to talk. I mean, you stranded here, didn't you?
I'll contact you if anything happens. Also, tell the servants in the guest house servant room not to leave the building. Bye. Wait a second, Erica-san?
She's a strange kid. After speaking her mind and not listening to anything else, Erica had dashed down the stairs and rushed outside.
The first twilight usually starts in the morning, but it looks like we've got an early fight this time. No crime has occurred in the guest house, so that means the stage of the tragedy is in the mansion.
Though she had an umbrella up, Erica got drenched as she sprinted. She brashly licked the raindrops that dripped down her face. Must not make licking sounds. Erica was at her most energetic. Your request has been received and will be processed as soon as the storm lifts. According to her memory from the previous game, the entrance hall to the mansion would be locked after the start of the family conference. However, the lock was undone this time. Had someone unlocked it, or had the lock not been set? Or had it not been possible to set the lock? Well, no point thinking about it now. After all, that might just be a whim of the Game Masters. As soon as she entered the entrance hall, the door to the parlor opened violently. Out of it flew Goda's large body. I hope they just mean, yeah.
Good evening, Goda-san. Is something the matter? Police, ambulance.
That expression really is wonderfully pathetic.
Just perfect for the first one to discover the crime. Please calm down. How could the police or an ambulance get to an isolated island inside a typhoon? I'm sure the phones are out anyway, so please calm yourself.
Yells from Klaus and Rudolph's group could be heard from the parlor. Their shaken appearance perfectly signified the coming of the first twilight.
Well then, give me the victims, the scene, and a reconstruction of the situation.
Those who left to take a break didn't come back, so the adults went to the parlor. When they did, the door was sealed from the inside and they couldn't open it. You'll see later, but the hat stand in the parlor had been used to bar the double doors from the inside.
So you're trying to say that the door was blocked from the inside and the windows were also locked from the inside?
That's it. When they went around and looked into the parlor through the window, they saw Rosa lying on the sofa in an unnatural position with blood pouring from her forehead. They then smashed the glass, entered the parlor, and discovered that Maria was also there, lying by the wall and covered in blood.
Got it. Yes, that would make them yell. And the other crime scenes?
The entrance wasn't locked when you came into the mansion because they went out through it to check the parlor from the outside. It had been locked before they left through it, so there was a chance that the others who had gone missing were lying elsewhere within the mansion, and the adults are now searching the entire building.
So do the places the victims died match that long, crazy delusion you showed earlier?
They match. Rosa and Maria were in the parlor. Beyond that, Natsuhi was in her own room, and Kiria was in Klaus's study. Eva was in the rose garden. No, wait, she was moved to the VIP room, wasn't she? Yes. Eva's corpse was found in the VIP room.
That makes 5 victims. Oh, that's one short for the first twilight. Who's the 6th person and where? Klaus-sama, the chain of this room is also set.
Oh damn, look at that.
Cut it. The culprit might be hiding in there. Goda, do it.
Who are we missing? Kumasawa, perhaps? She's dead. She's dead. She's dead. She's dead. Oh, we still have a few who could be dead. Could be Hideyoshi, Nanjo. Haven't seen Genji yet. Rudolph and Klaus had brought Winchesters from Kinzo's prized collection. They yelled at Goda, who was carrying the wire cutters, to cut the chain. The victims had been found one after another at several locations inside the mansion. The men who had lost their wives searched through the mansion in a rage, looking for the culprit. This was a guest room. It had previously been a room where the relatives would stay, but it hadn't been used much since the construction of the guest house. This forgotten room had been sealed from the inside by the chain. As soon as the chain was cut, Rudolph pushed Goda aside and flew into the room.
Is anyone there? Get out here.
There's someone on the bed.
Let's get some light, Aniki.
When Klaus pushed a switch on the wall, the guest room lit up, and the figure lying on the bed came into view. Oh man, who is it? Who is it gonna be? The suspense. Am I gonna press it now or not?